Well, hi everyone, and welcome back to Waterhouse Forde. It's been a number of weeks since we last published a video, but we're going to try and get back into it now. We've got a bunch of parts. We've had a delivery from Anglo, so we're going to quickly open these boxes and see what we've got. This is all, hopefully, most of the parts that we need to reassemble the front axle. Once we've got the front axle reassembled, then we can basically move on and, well, we can basically bring the tractor back together again, make it stand or allow it to stand on its own four wheels again, and of course then we'll move toward trying to get the engine running at that stage. So quite eager to get this axle done so that we can move on to the engine and essentially finish off the engine. Okay, so we're going to bring you over and we're going to do a bit of a unpacking, see what we've got. I know that there are a couple of bits that we haven't got yet. Unfortunately, as everybody in the world is suffering at the moment, Anglo are struggling to get some of the parts that we need. We've managed, as I say, to get the majority of it, and certainly I expect will be enough for us to at least make some progress and begin putting this axle back together. So yeah, we'll bring you over and we'll make a start. Okay, first box we've got, it's open, you just need to undo it. Right, so these are all the little bits. Right, so this is the spindle bush that goes in the main beam. Now there are two types of bushes and you need to check which one you need. This is the original type, and you can actually upgrade to the later type where it has it's basically a little bit thicker and it has a flange on the end. And I know what some people have done is they've actually retrofitted that and then drilled through and put a grease nipple in, and that allows you to grease the axle pin. I've decided not to go that route. I want to try and basically stick with what we've got, or stick with the original. And basically just make sure that we keep the maintenance up to date on this axle pin. I want to see whether by doing that we can actually keep it so that it doesn't get stuck and so that it can be removed. I was reading in the Ferguson manual that you can actually, or the original intent was that using the engine starting handle that you can actually remove the axle pin, obviously clean it up, grease it, put it back. So we're going to try to do that. I want to see whether that's possible. If that doesn't work out, then what we'll do, we can retrospectively replace it with the replacement, or with the upgraded version, and put the grease nipple in. But anyway, so that's what we've got for now. So this one is A63840. Right, then we've got all the front wheel nuts, so that's A59221. We got the front wheel studs. This is one set, so there's 5 in a pack. I believe it's 5 per wheel, is it not 6? Just hang on.
Dad, these are the front wheel bolts and the 6.
Yeah, so it should be 6 per hub, obviously. So I know that these arrived in different consignments, so I think they've probably just packed them this way. So what have we got now? So there's 6 in that one, and then there'll be one single one somewhere. And the same with the wheel nut, so there's another single wheel nut. Oh, another one.
And there's the one bolt.
Okay, let's come out of its bag. Alright, let's put it back. Okay, so there's the other stud. Right, this is the swept axle bolt kit. So basically where you connect the two axle subframes to the oh god, what's it called now? The axle beam. Those 4 bolts, and you've got the spring washers and the corresponding nuts. Okay, and then we should have the 2 large ones. So these are the the radius rod bolt kit. So this is where the radius rod joins to the front axle. Okay, so that's that box. What have we got on the big one? Now, before we do this, Oscar, I just want to quickly talk about this. So, this kit, this is a new kit that Anglo have developed. It's A48146KT, standing for kit, and it's basically the complete spindle and hub repair kit. So if you buy this kit, you've got everything that you need to repair the spindles. It even includes replacement spindles, along with everything that you need for your front hubs as well. So all your bearings, well, we'll go through it, but you'll see pretty much everything that can be replaced is available in this kit. Okay, so lots of packaging.
Yeah. I think there's something in that.
Yeah, take it out. Okay, so this is the first spindle. There we go. Now, the spindles are, the left and the right are not the same, so you have to make sure. This particular one is marked as left hand. The part number, if you just want the spindle, is A48146. And as you can see, that gives you the spindle, and then the obviously the hub goes on the end here, and that's all basically brand new and looks quite nice. Obviously we'll get it opened up in a minute and fitted. Right, so the right hand one is A58611, so quite a different number. So the left hand again was A48146, and this is A58611, so quite a different number. That's your right hand one. Okay. Okay, what else have we got? Okay, so this is the two thrust bearings that go at the bottom of the spindle. These are the tin-clad ones. You remember, if you watched the video where we dismantled that, we talked a little bit about that. Then we've got the two smaller thrust wheel bearings, so they'll be the outer ones. Two new castellated nuts. The inner wheel bearings, also conical thrust bearings. The two keys even go at the top of the shaft, two split pins for your castellated nuts. The two rubber seals are actually oil seals that go at the back of the hub behind the inner bearing. And then we've got two felt washers. They actually go right at the top of the spindle to keep moisture and dust out of the spindle shaft. Two retaining washers for the main hub. And then we've got the four bushes that need to go into the spindle, into the sub-axle that the spindle rides in. So there you go. That's the kit that you get if you order the whole kit. So it's the two replacement spindles with the hubs, subframes, sub-axles, the thrust bearings, the four wheel bearings, two oil seals, two castellated nuts, the replacement keys, cotter pins, retaining washers, and then also the felt washers that go at the top, and finally the bushes that go into the subframe. And then we've ordered, in addition to that, the bush for the axle pin, or the replacement wheel nuts, replacement wheel studs, and replacement bolt kits for the radius rods and also for the main axle. Now, what's obviously missing is the axle pin itself that obviously runs through the bush. That's quite an important part. So we're waiting for that one. And then the other thing that we've ordered is the replacement tie rod end kit, which goes onto the steering rods, which obviously we want to replace those, but we're quite a ways away from needing those. Yeah, so I think what we can do today, let's make a start on the spindles. We'll do one of them. We'll get that sorted out, and then if we get time we'll move on to one of the hubs as well. So we're going to move over to the other workbench. It's where the vise is, and we'll make a start on doing one of these spindles. Okay, so what we've got here now, we've got the right hand subframe, and therefore we've got the right hand spindle as well. Let's have a quick look at that spindle. It looks to be a very well machined, well made part. It's nice and solid, just like the original. And the important thing is when the spindle axle is in the subframe, you want your the key to be facing back towards the engine of the tractor. So that's one way to tell which is the left and which is the right. It needs to be, when the wheel is at 90 degrees to travel, the key needs to be pointing back at the center of the axle. Okay, so that's that. And then of course we've got the bushes and all the other bits here ready to go. So we're going to put the subframe into the vise, and then so the first job is to get the bushes in, and then we will check to see whether the spindle actually fits the bushes, whether they've been pre-reamed. If not, then we'll have to ream them. So we're going to make a start on that. Okay, so you can see we have cleaned the subframe. We've soaked it in the bath for, in the end it was about 2 weeks actually. Then wire brushed it, rinsed it down, and then I've given it a couple of coats of base, basically primer, grey primer. All inside has been cleaned out. It was clean. Give me some paper there, please. So I think obviously missed this one, but we want to clean all inside there where the bushes are going to go. Make sure that that's nice and clean. And I used a wire wheel inside there just to clean that up. Obviously didn't do the final wire, but there you go. Anyway, so now we're going to bring the bushes in. So what we want to do, these bushes have just like the ones that we took out, they have a split in them, which allows them to compress, or rather to fit more evenly. Now that feels like a good fit there, as in it feels like it's going to go in nicely. I've also just chamfered the top edge here to allow that to sit in there, and obviously to guide it in as we push it in. Now, what do we want to do? I always like to put the split in one direction or the other. In this case, I'm going to put it towards the outside. There's no reason for it other than when you're looking for that split again in order to take them out. Generally, I would always look on one of the 4 quadrants, and in this case, for me, it seems logical to put the split towards the outside. So, Oscar, there's an oil can there. What we're going to do, pop a bunch of oil in there,
Okay.
all on the edge, on the wall. Okay, and we'll just smooth that around. Come back, and let's just put some on the bush itself as well. Okay, and we'll just smother that everywhere. Right, now, where's my split gone? There it is. Now what we want to do is try and get that to seat in there as straight as possible. That's almost straight but not quite. Right, now what I've got is just a piece of wood, nice soft wood. Make sure it's relatively clean. Okay, and what we're going to do with a wooden mallet, we're just going to tap that in. So we want to try and straighten it first. We'll hit more on the left to start with. Okay, that's straight now. See how it looks this way? That's about right. Okay. Okay, they seem to be going in well. That hammer's not quite heavy enough, so I'm going to use a metal one. That's better. Okay. Okay, so that's gone nice and straight in there. It's at least straight, but it still needs to go quite a long way down. Obviously, the block of wood is now too big. So I'm just gonna find something a little bit smaller to help that go in. Okay, I've now got a washer that's got a flat back and a slightly bigger wooden handle. Let's see if that works. It's going in nicely now. Ow. It's almost in. There we go. So that's now seated right down into that shaft, and the top is now flush with this surface on the back here. Now this is this space here. This is where the tin clad thrust bearing goes. So you've got to make sure that that bush goes all the way down. Otherwise, it's going to interfere with that bush with the bearing. Okay, so that's the bottom. We'll turn it over and we'll do the top one now. Okay, so we've turned it over now. Again, this is nice and clean. This has all been tidied up. We're going to need a bit of oil in there and another bush, please, Oscar.
Okay.
Okay. Bit more. Okay. Some paper towel there, please. Thank you. Some more oil. Okay. Alright. So basically the same procedure. We just line up the slits, so the slits facing towards what will be the outside of the tractor. We Going to gently tap that in. It's not quite straight, so we will line that up. That's going skew. If you find it starts going skew like this, what you can do with a light hammer, just gently tap. That's almost straight again now. Oh. Yeah, we need to take this one out. It's gone completely skew. There we go. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it around. Give me some more oil please, Oscar. Sometimes I find if you just turn it around it'll end up going straight. Don't know why, but they sometimes just prefer to go one way. To be going well now. Now obviously when you're using wood you will get a lot of sort of wood chips. Just try and keep them, just try to keep cleaning them away, and when you're finished just we will have to clean properly in there, but luckily wood doesn't hurt anything so it doesn't really matter. Oscar, just put a little bit more oil on the outside here please. There we go. Wow, that one's been really tough. So I'm not sure why. I'm just trying. If this doesn't work, the other thing we can of course do is put it into the press and try and press it in so that it will go in straight. But we'll just try a little bit more here. Right, we need to set up the press and then we'll come back. Okay, we've got it set up in the press. Got lots of oil on it, and it should, in theory, go in quite easily with this.
There. I think that's in.
Okay.
I think the jack could do it. The jack could do with some oil.
Okay, so there we go. That works a heck of a lot better. If you do have a press, it does make life a little bit easier. I have found though that you're better off getting the bush in and started manually, shall we say, by the way we did it, by putting in the vise and basically hitting it. It's just because it just that makes it so much easier then to line up in the press. Right, so now we've got the two bushes in. The big moment really now is to see whether that spindle is going to fit in there or whether we're going to have to ream these bushes. So what I'm going to do is put this in the vase this way. And okay, so we've mounted this in the vase. Now we're going to push the spindle in and see whether it fits in these bushes, whether the bushes are pre-finished or not, and then we will we'll take it out again and we'll put this bearing in at the bottom. So let's have the spindle. We put lots of oil in the bush. And wow, that feels good.
Can I feel it?
Go on then.
Oh, that's nice.
It's not quite in yet. I don't mean.
It is a bit jumpy, but you're almost there. There we go. It's in. Well, at least it's at the end. Keep turning.
Go. So that goes into the bush. It's a little bit
jumpy. I wonder if putting some oil in there would help.
Oh, we'll put grease in there, but no. Okay. So the bushes are a little bit stiff, but I mean you can already feel it easing up as you're working it.
Oh wow, yeah, that's a lot better.
Okay. No, don't get mad. Okay, so. The good news is that these bushes are what they call pre-finished, and we don't need to ream them. If you needed to ream them, then obviously you've seen us do reaming before, and yeah, you have to get the right size ream, put it in there, and just gently work it until it fits. Okay, let's put that back down there. Okay. Right, the next job now is to get this bottom thrust bearing in.
Hopefully this will be a bit more straightforward.
Maybe. Right, let's have one of the thrust bearings, Oscar, please. And some oil when you're ready. Okay, so again the thrust bearing, remember we have this, we talked about it on the previous video, you've got this tin cladding that goes inside the housing, and then this is your thrust surface here, and this is the one that the spindle will actually ride on. So plenty of oil on there, all around the bearing. There we go. And that fits in there nicely. Now we can bring the spindle back. Oscar, spindle.
Yeah. Sorry.
And pop that back in. Put a little bit of grease on here. I mean, oil on there, on the thrust surface.
Okay.
Okay. Now, when we once we've got this in and we've got the top on, we will fill this cavity with grease, so that will feed the bearing, right?
Yeah.
So there we go.
That went in very nicely.
Yeah. There we go.
Wow, that's riding nicely.
Absolutely no movement there either, which is fantastic. Right, now we have to turn this over without it falling out. Okay, now we've got this repositioned in the vise so we can do the top. So first thing we need is a felt washer. That goes underneath the I think it's called a wish arm. This is your wish arm. It goes on there, but we first need to put the felt washer on, and then there's a key that goes in the back there as well. Okay, now key. Now this felt washer obviously just stops mostly dust from going inside here. It also acts as a bit of a an oil seal. Is that going in?
No.
You need to tap it in probably.
Yeah. Do it further down.
You do it, I can't see.
Okay. Can't really get a good angle.
You get it? Yeah, this will probably straighten it up as it goes on anyway. But so right, this now goes on. You line that up with the key, obviously, and then that gently. I mean, you can actually open this up with a screwdriver, which will help. Can you give me a big screwdriver, please? So I find it helps a little bit just to. I'm going to use a small chisel just to open that slot. You see how easy that now slips on. And that's now hitting up against that the key, so we need to give it a little bit of welly. Now, this felt washer really needs to go inside that recess. I'm going to try and push it in. I may have, it may be easier, I think, if you soak the felt washer in oil a little bit. That obviously will help it to slide in. That's down a little bit more. Okay, that's just about in the right place. Looking at the hole. So Oscar, give me one of that bolt. No, that's a nut.
Oh.
Oh yeah, actually that fits straight in. So that's plenty, just like that. Right now, a washer, spring washer, and then a nut. Okay, and we can tighten that up basically. And that is how you fit the spindle and basically complete this subframe. Oscar,
Yeah.
give me that socket and that spanner, please. So we'll just tighten that up. Go. That's not going to go anywhere. And there we have it. That's our steering spindle. It's touching on the workbench. Let's just lift it up a bit. And that's a lovely smooth movement there. So very happy with that.
Oh wow. Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Now we'll just get a grease nipple for here, and then we can fill that with grease. Oscar, if you put some oil on this felt to try and make it as wet as possible, you will need to do it a little bit at a time. I suggest if you use this groove as a well.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, we need to change the angle a bit here. Okay, probably the final job we need to do is just put a new grease nipple in here. This one, Oscar, just have a look what size it was. It's the one closest to me.
That one, 1/8
1/8
-27.
-27. I think the 27 refers to the thread, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, there we go. That's in. Right, give us the grease gun. Oh, there's one thing. Sorry, just put that down for a second. There's one thing we didn't do, which is to check the. Oh, there's no play on that. Okay, all right, grease gun. Okay. Oh, out of grease. Okay, take two. Now that we've filled the grease gun, so now we'll pump some grease into there. There you can see it starting to pop out the top. There we go. Now, obviously, once we got this on the tractor and we used it a little bit, then we'll grease it again, because inevitably there'll be some air pockets inside there which will work their way out as we start to use it. But that now is nice and free. So we'll get this all cleaned up now, get rid of all the excess grease and oil. And I think in the next video what we'll do is we'll move on to the hub. So we'll do the wheel hub and get all that rebuilt, ready for this assembly then to go back onto the axle once we've got that axle pin. Okay, so there we go. So that's now fully greased, and you can see we've got a lovely movement there on that spindle. No movement in that, relative movement in that arm or lateral movement either, so that's a lovely fit. So all in all, that kit that I mentioned at the start, that's actually a great thing. It gives you everything that you need to basically sort out this front axle and spindle. Now obviously in our next video we'll move on and we'll do the hub, which obviously that's part of the kit as well. But I thought just as we finish off this video, I'll just talk a little bit about what we've seen so far. The great thing is that the bushes are pre-finished, which means that you don't have to ream them after you fitted them. As you saw when we first put it in, it was a little bit stiff, it was a little bit, but you could feel that it wanted to go in. There was no hesitation. Well, there was hesitation, not a hard stop, if you see what I mean. And just by encouraging it in, that then basically, I'm guessing, reformed the bushes. Maybe when we were putting them in, especially this top one, you saw that initially that didn't go in straight, and so maybe that was slightly deformed. But just pushing the spindle through sorted that out, no problem. The other thing to note, two things that you don't get in the kit. One is this bolt. So when you're dismantling, make sure that you save this bolt and nut that goes through the wish arm, and of course the grease nipple that doesn't come in the kit either. So yeah, two very small things. But as you saw when we unpacked the kit, when it comes to the hub, you get everything that you need there, as far as I can tell, right down to replacement castellated nuts, lock washer, and even the split pin that goes through the front to hold the castellated nuts. So a really good kit actually, and again, something that, as I said, Anglo have developed recently. Obviously you can buy the individual components, the individual parts if you want, but if you're doing this job, you may as well replace everything whilst you're here. And what they've done is basically give you a kit that gives you everything that you need, as I say, other than the grease nipple and the bolt at the top here. So look, we're going to leave it there for this video. In the next video we'll move on to the hub, and we'll complete that, so you can see how we reassemble the hub, and again just the parts that come in the kit, and you will see how they all fit and make sure everything's works well. But yeah, so look, I think hopefully you've enjoyed the video. Hopefully you've learned something. If not, maybe you've enjoyed it, enjoyed watching and following along as we muddled our way through getting this spindle, this stub axle rebuilt. Hope that you have a great week, everybody, and look forward to seeing you on the next video. Cheers for now.
Bye.